What's going on YouTube? Downright here. Today we have a massive release. Do you guys remember the TrollStore for iOS 17 and of course iOS 15, 14, stuff like that? Well, today we got a big release, and that is the vulnerability behind the CoreTrust 2 bypass, which is used in TrollStore. So yes, we got this account over here that posted, quote, "Yesterday we released a blog post about our analysis of Predator 2023 sample. The blog post provides a bit more details to the talk I gave at NullCon in March, and it contains IOCs." So if you go ahead here in the blog post, it actually goes in depth about each vulnerability, including the CoreTrust bypass that was actually used in TrollStore, and it's actually quite a wild story. One of the developers in the community also read the article, the blog post, and yeah, they said, quote, "This is the bug chain including CoreTrust 2 bypass, which revealed a very interesting info. The spyware could inject to some daemons, including Springboard." Springboard being, of course, the home screen application that shows all your apps and everything. Now, this is actually pretty wild considering the fact that this is not even a full jailbreak. Sure, the CoreTrust bug was powerful enough to get us TrollStore, which can install applications without signing them and with some custom entitlements. However, it's far from being a full jailbreak with like root and everything. So the fact that it could do all of these is actually quite concerning. And apparently the CoreTrust bug was part of a much bigger chain of vulnerabilities that were used in spyware. Now, these people over at iVerify.io got their hands on a sample of that spyware sometime in 2024 and have analyzed it ever since. They also got some samples from 2021 apparently, because this has been circulating in the community silently for a while before it was caught and analyzed. They have a full analysis over here with every single thing that the actual vulnerability chain does, and you also have in here the CVE 2023-41991, which is the certification validation issue, the CoreTrust bug. It's essentially the heart of TrollStore. So yes, for those of you who are unaware, TrollStore itself has its roots in spyware, in malware on iOS. The TrollStore itself is not malicious, it's great, it's a good tool, but the vulnerability behind it is nothing short of a very scary vulnerability because it's actually quite powerful. Yes, if you want to learn more about it, if you want to learn how it works, there is a full write-up available over here. Naturally, when this was released, a lot of you sent me this article because that's how I found it on Twitter, asking me if this is useful for TrollStore on iOS 17.2.3.4 or even iOS 18. And to that, my answer is, as always, no, you cannot have TrollStore on iOS 17.0.1 and newer, because the CoreTrust bypass that they talk about in here in detail was unfortunately patched, or fortunately, depending on how it was used. I do have a full article in here explaining why that is, why we can't have TrollStore for newer versions. What we would need is actually yet another CoreTrust bypass. The first TrollStore, the one for iOS 14, was based on the first CoreTrust bypass that we got, and then later on we got the second CoreTrust bypass that enabled us to get the TrollStore on iOS 17.0 and lower. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like Apple is going to make the same mistake 3 times in a row. If they do, I would be very happy, but it's probably not going to be the case. Probably they learned their lesson at this point. So I would not hold my breath for TrollStore on anything newer than iOS 17.0. What we do know now about this vulnerability is very important because this is proper spyware. Like proper full-on malware on iOS, which means that if you're targeted by this kind of stuff, you have no chance. Your device is their device at that point. I'm going to actually parse through this blog post over here, try to understand the vulnerability as better as I can, and try to integrate this in iSecureOS so that the application can look for residue of this vulnerability, because it does leave some files. There are some things mentioned over here, like agent.dialib and various connections to various things. So we could try to look for stuff. So expect iSecureOS 2.0 in the future and expect it to be able to detect Predator or the vulnerabilities used in here. Anyway, it's a pretty wild story. It looks like it's quite powerful. Definitely check out the write-up down below. Pretty interesting stuff. This video was brought to you by FlexStore. They provide your favorite jailbreaks like Uncover, Dopamine, Taurine, and so on without a computer. If you're tired of signing them every 7 days, this is a great solution. Doesn't require a computer, certificates last a lot longer, and if the certificate does get revoked eventually, they will replace the certificate for you. So definitely check it out down below. Thank you for watching. I am Geosnow. Till the next time, stay safe and peace out.